Not at all. I mean, what we're looking at over the long term is, very long term, substantial secular growth in distributed generation, increased resiliency along the edge of the grid, and a move towards net zero. And when we look at the potential to move towards a completely zero emissions grid by 2035, we really see the need for 6x growth in the solar industry. And so there's a lot of unit growth, the technical capabilities that we're looking at within these companies. One of the key things that Enphase brings to the table is grid formation around management of integration of energy storage and solar together. And so, we've had a rationalization on the stock price, but the growth and the underlying fundamentals are very much still in place.
It looks like they're dealing with some of the supply chain issues which were plaguing the industry. So Colin, what does demand look like? How long does this story take to play out as you see it?
I think it's a growth story through the end of the decade. The growth of the industry from, single-digit gigawatts into, 20 to 30 to 40 gigawatts a year is still very much in the early stages. And as we see the increased complexity and sophistication of some of the technology with the storage and solar combined, and starting to service the ancillary services market, a company like Enphase or even a company like SolarEdge have capabilities that can really serve that market and really bring not only the hardware to the table, but also some software capabilities that turn into recurring revenue over time.
Colin, as I understand it, Enphase is tilted much more towards residential and small commercial installments. And so I'm wondering what you see as sort of headwinds, immediate headwinds. I understand that long term you're bullish on this sector, but near term there are regulatory issues, including, how power companies deal with consumers who use solar power and don't necessarily, quote unquote, contribute to the grid.
And that's is a good question and an important one for the industry, where there's been actually a lot of studies that are done. So solar, up to a certain point, actually provides a certain amount of resiliency on its own. When you combine solar plus storage, you actually add an awful lot of strength to the grid overall in terms of power at the edge of the grid and stability of the infrastructure. And there's a substantial amount of avoided cost in terms of building out new transmission and distribution lines. The California net metering case is, I think an important case study for setting a precedent for the rest of the country. But at the end of the day, likely what happens is we'll see a little bit of reduction in terms of the net metering price for sales back to the grid, but that's going to enhance the value of the energy storage at these installations. And so the real headwind for us is just lack of clarity. So we're looking for some clarity around those rules. But then it's installation crews. This is a tight labor market, and actual sales are very strong for the industry. And the real bottleneck right now is actual deployment of these systems, and we're looking at that as a key area that people are working on right now.